Hello, hello, hello. I hope y'all can hear me. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. All right. Everything is good to go. So let's get into it. Um, so I wanted to come in on this live because I've been thinking a lot about you all and thinking about how to get you ready for 2026. There's a lot of us who every single year we come into different, situations that we have. So whether it's losing weight, whether it's, a money goal, whether it's like a career goal, something like that. And we say to ourselves, like, I'm going to do this differently this year. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to be my best self. I'm going to have whatever you want to call it. Things for the new year, and you're like, I'm going to do things differently. But you find yourself like being all in for the first maybe 30 days, or you feel yourself being all in for a week, and then it kind of dies down. And so I was saying to myself, like, this is exactly that time of the year where we start thinking about what's going to be new, what's our resolutions, things like that. And so I wanted to come specifically and talk about leadership development. And the reason why I'm talking about leadership development is because what I notice quite often is that people in different roles feel like leadership development is slow. And so we have become content with this like slow pace of like, we'll just go along, we'll figure it out, we'll try to make it go forward, we'll try to make sure that at least we make one step, and we get content with that because maybe the system, the environment that we in have already taught us that, it'll come. Don't worry. Like, I'm sure you guys hear that. Don't worry, it's coming. Just be patient. I'm going to make sure that you get your job, your promotion, your project, whatever it is. And so it just really feels slow for a lot of people. Well, leadership development does not have to feel slow. It does not. It actually can be accelerated very quickly. Just today, or just yesterday, I got an email from a client that I'm working with one on one, and she was like, "Oh my God, Tashina, I got the interim role." And we had only had two 60-minute conversations, so 2 hours. And she ended up accelerating her possibilities and actually getting a role that she had been hoping for. And we caught up today and we had some conversation, but it's these little moments that, having that support and having that ability to move quickly, or having that ability to let me know that leadership development doesn't have to be slow. It can be a process that moves quickly as long as you have the right support. So today in this live, I do want to talk about, how can we make our career growth, our health goals, our financial goals, whatever it is. Specifically today, though, I'm talking about leadership and career, but it can be transferable to any goal that you have. But how do we move it quickly? How do we move faster? How do we get the growth that we want to see in our lives? Okay. So if you are here, please share this live with other people. This can be helpful for anybody who is joining. If you're watching the replay and this is helpful, this is valuable, please share it out as well. Okay, so let me walk you through a few things that I see. And you tell me, comment in the chat, and you let me know if this is something that you have experienced as well. And I guarantee that as I'm going through this, once I say it, you're not gonna be able to unsee what I'm talking about. You're gonna notice these things in your organization as well. So the first thing is there's a lot of things that are happening in our organizations that keep us in this reactive mode. So we're always reacting to what is in front of us, and we are trying to meet all the external demands and the vision of everybody else. So something happens, with a policy, we react. Something happens where an employee quits or someone has to go on a leave, we react. There's a AI is coming to the forefront, and we know it's been coming to the forefront, but the minute that it knocks at our door, now we react and we're trying to get everybody trained. This is one of the things that happens in our organizations. Okay. The second thing is hierarchy that slows down a lot of the approval processes, the promotions, and the decisions. And so this kind of like makes us like we always have to go through all of these layers just to get someone to say yes when we are looking for a different type of development opportunities. For an example, I remember I have always been kind of a person that has a lot of foresight, and I can see things coming and I can know what I need to do or what I need to anchor into in order for me to develop and grow and be prepared. Two of those, actually three of those things that have happened to me is one, becoming Enneagram certified, two, becoming leadership circle profile trained, and third, getting my my master's in organizational development degree. So there were three things that I recall asking for approval to get sponsored. Basically, sponsorship is getting it funded. Okay. And I remember how many layers of approval I had to go to get to a yes. And I only was able to get a yes once, okay, for one of those things. And I probably would have got a yes eventually, but I'm a little impatient sometimes. And I was like, I'm not letting anybody stop me from what I need to do. That's just my personality. I was like, I know that I need this, and I'm going to jump on it right away before anybody else tries to tell me no or tell me it doesn't matter. Because again, I can see what's ahead, and I'm like, I know I need to do that. I know I need to do it. I know I need to get trained in that because that's going to be valuable for the work that I'm doing. Years later, it's very valuable for the work that I'm doing, actually. It's very, very valuable. However, at that time, I kept getting the no. And so I share this with you because sometimes this has happened in our organizations. We keep getting the no on just development. Like we're not asking for a raise, we're not asking for promotion. We're just asking to pour into ourselves and love on ourselves and have some opportunities to learn, to grow our knowledge and to have growth. And that's another thing that keeps us slow and keeps us stuck in our careers. The third thing is you only get a conversation about your development at your annual review. If this is you, comment in the chat. Like, are you going through the review process right now? And just now you're thinking about all the things that you either got developed on or you didn't get developed on, or you're thinking about next year, like, man, I really want to take this course, this class, I want to go to this training, whatever it is. And it's only that one time a year that we think about this. And it's kind of like all of our goals. Like all of our goals typically follows that pattern where just in that, the beginning of the year, we're like all in on like, oh yes, I'm about to lose this weight. I'm about to buy this Peloton. I'm about to get my money up. I'm going to be an investor. And we think about it only one time a year. And that's usually the pattern that happens in our organizations as well, right? Now, it doesn't have to be that way. I want to just preview that right now. It doesn't have to be that way because you have full agency and full autonomy to choose how much you want to work on your goals. However, this is typically what happens in our organizations, right? And so we only get that conversation once a year. And let me tell you, your boss is busy too. Your boss is busy, and they're probably like, I have all of these things to get done. I really don't have time to have these conversations about development. And so that's when you kind of have to be proactive to do that. In a recent coaching conversation, I was telling them that when they start to have conversations and one-on-ones with their boss, that they need to be proactive and not allow those conversations to only be about tasks. You are not a taskmaster, okay? You need to be able to kind of be proactive and say, guess what? I actually need some development. I have a conversation that I want to talk about who I'm becoming as a leader, not just what I need to do, what goals and all those type of things, right? So just be sure, that you do this. However, back to why sometimes development is slow, it's because your development is only tied to one time a year. And so that one time a year you talk about development, you don't talk about it ever again. That's where it stays. The fourth thing is that you get approval, but it's these one-off workshops. So you have these one-off workshops, one-off trainings, you go to this training, but you don't get the long-term support. I remember when I was an administrative assistant and I went to this class that was a really good class all about communication for women. Okay. And in this class, like I got a lot of notes. I believe I still have those notes to this day. And I took this training probably in 2015, 2016. I think I still have those notes because it was that good. And I remember going back into my organization and actually wasn't able to effectively use it. I didn't have anybody that I could bounce ideas off of about the training. I didn't have anybody that I could just contact by email or even have like a quick, download on what I learned and how I can actually put it into action. Because these classes and courses that we go to seems to be a one-off, but then we need to use it. I say that sometimes even about school. Now, I just want to put this out there. I am not saying that people should not take higher level education and they shouldn't, do that. However, what I noticed when I was taking my master's degree, when I was going through that process, what really helped me really lock in all the things that I was learning is that I was actually doing the job in my organization as well. So I could implement what I was learning real time. However, most of these courses and trainings, we really can't implement right away because we don't have the long term support. We don't have someone say, okay, so you learned that. Okay, this is how you should use that for this conversation you're about to have. Or this is how you should think about this as you're building out your strategy from the training, right? And so that seems like our leadership development is slow and we're not catching on and we're not moving at the pace that we want to because we go to these one off workshops and we're not really getting the long term support that we need. And the fifth thing is that you're expected to do this all by yourself, right? There's no network that you have to really challenge your thinking and challenge what you're learning. Now, I will say that some of us do have a network, but if you're anything like me, if you're an introvert, and I know people are very shocked at this introversion that I always claim to have because they're like, girl, you come up and you show up and you do lives and you talk and you're always on. Y'all, at the end of the night, I'm a hermit. I Introversion means I need alone time to get more energy, to feel more fulfilled, to get just refueled and recharged. And I am 100% an introvert. And a lot of stimulation at work, a lot of network events, they overstimulate me to the point where I just like can't do it. And so if you are an introvert like me, it's probably difficult to build networks like you want to. Now I have learned strategies. I was just telling a friend, matter of fact, I was telling a coach friend, and I am going to be going to her, be a speaker at her HR summit that is happening next week. So go to my page anywhere. So LinkedIn or Instagram. Go to my bio, go to my page, look at my post. And I have posted about the HR summit that I will be at on Monday and Tuesday. I will be speaking at on Tuesday, but y'all get in the room. Get in the room. You're just going to learn so much information. If you don't do nothing else, just get in that room. No, you don't have to be an HR leader, but it's a plus. It's a piece, like it's icing on the cake if you could get in a room full of HR leaders, especially if you're looking to grow and develop in your career. However, what I wanted to say is that I was telling her because she's way more extroverted. She's just an extrovert, all hands down extroversion. I'm not. But what I appreciate about her is I've grown a relationship with her where she has been able to introduce me to other people. And because she's been able to introduce me to other people, that's how my network is growing. And so it may not just be you, it may be someone else that can help deliver that for you and be that person for you. But we don't know that when we're not in community with others, when we don't have at least one person, right? And we feel like, oh, it's so hard to actually grow my network, grow my relationships with people, right? And that will slow you down. As an introvert, I want you to hear it from me. And I spoke about this on my latest podcast episode. I want you to hear it from me. Life you will get nowhere in life if you do not grow the relationships that you need to grow in order to be successful. Okay? You need to have the right relationships. All right? You heard it from this introvert, okay? All right. And then the last thing is you are using outdated tools, outdated resources. They're outdated, they're slow, they're manual. According to McKinsey, because I looked this up, it says only 10% of leaders believe that leadership development prepares them. And it doesn't prepare them right because they're using outdated tools. Some of these trainings I'll be going to is so outdated. You're like, what? Like, how would I use that in my organization? It doesn't make sense, right? And with the evolution of AI and how much is becoming so present in our society, we need to be able to start going digital. I was having another conversation with my client, and she was saying that there's parts of her organization that still keep a paper trail. They send everything by paper. They bring up things in a folder with all the papers and the sign offs. And these people don't, they are refusing to go digital. And I told her like this, I said, the next time that person does that, tell them don't be Blockbuster. Don't be Blockbuster, okay? Y'all know what happened to Blockbuster, right? They were still trying to give us the VHSs, or then it got to DVDs. I don't know how to say it because that's how long ago it was. But that didn't happen. And then Netflix took over because everything is digital. Okay. So don't be Blockbuster. But that's what's happening. Sometimes we go to these Blockbuster events and we're not getting the type of support that we actually need. So, of course, leadership feels slow, leadership feels stagnant, it doesn't feel fast enough. It feels like we are just moving at a snail's pace, and it's because we're trying to grow inside of systems that is slowing everything down. It's not moving us, right? And so I want you to know this though, it doesn't have anything to do with your capabilities. You are capable. It doesn't have anything to do with how smart you are. You are smart. You know enough information to be smart enough to make decisions to get smarter. You have that information. And it has nothing to do with whether or not you're ready. If you're here, if you've been watching some of my videos, if you go and listen to podcasts from anyone, if you're at work and you're like, I want to do better, I want to move up, you're ready. It's just that your system hasn't matched to who you want to be and where you need to go. And it's just not built. It's not a foundation that can actually reinforce where you're trying to go. Now, I know this deeply because in my own leadership journey, I remember how I was doing a lot of different things alone, especially when I was an administrative assistant. As much as I love that role, as much as that role should be way more respected, it's kind of like one of those roles where it's like the teacher versus like every other role in society. Like, why aren't teachers getting paid more? They are literally educating every single freaking job in the world, but they get paid so little. I felt like that about the administrative assistant role when it came to like knowledge and information and being a resource. Like, why isn't that role more respected? Right? Because there's a lot of things. But I remember at that time trying to do everything alone where no one was really telling me how to plan my development. No one was telling me how to be more visible. No one was teaching me about how to navigate the different power dynamics. I remember when I first went into an administrative role and I was in a corporate office, I'm coming from the retail floors, and I'm like, bro, this is different. Like, I don't even know what's coming at me. I don't know what I need to watch out for, but I know what I just said the other day didn't go over well. Because nobody was teaching me how to navigate those power dynamics. And then no one was really teaching me how to advocate for myself. Okay. Nobody was teaching me like This is how you advocate for yourself. This is how you structure things for yourself, especially when you're at an entry level role. It can get really hard. But even when you're going up, there's levels to this. There's different levels. And as somebody who has worked from the individual contributor at the entry level all the way to the CEO, I know there's levels to this. Okay. There's a different skill set that has to happen on your way up. It's like at one point you go from being the person that's in the weeds and doing all the tasks to being strategic and actually being the visionary behind the task, right? And so there's levels to this and you have to know. But I also just noticed that people weren't as willing to share with me some information all the time, or other people didn't know how to explain it. They didn't know, right? There was a point where I had to really reflect and go in deeply with myself to understand what were the steps to get me from an administrative assistant to the next level, because it felt like it just happened. But nothing just happens, right? But no one's telling you how to document those processes. And it's important for you to document that stuff. Why? Because when you have to do an interview, when you have to go before someone and tell your story, like things like that, like you should know your story. You should know how you went from A to Z. You should know that, right? But that's something that wasn't always shared, right? I had to piece everything together and literally find out how to do all of these things by myself. And I understand that because I was doing it all alone, it was slowing me down. Because once I started getting the support and the help, I noticed how much quicker things happen, how much more, especially my network. I can't tell you how valuable a network is, even if it's one or two relationships. I'm telling you right now, you don't have to know everybody in their mama, but you have to know enough people who can share with you exactly how to get through, how to go, how to deal with or navigate your career, right? And it wasn't that I wasn't capable. That's not why I was going slow, but it was because I really didn't have the support or the strategy or even the space or opportunity to be able to do that. And so I promised myself that I was never going to be that person again, and that's what I teach my clients too. Don't be that, like, I'm telling you how to prevent the slowness that it took for me. Okay? It was really slow. Okay? So here's what I eventually learned, and what most leaders never get to hear. They never get to learn this. First of all, I just said it, leadership does not have to move this slowly. It can be accelerated, it can go fast. Now, I do want to put a caveat. I'm not talking about a microwave society that we are in, because I think technology can give us a false belief of how fast we can go. You do have to put in the work, you do have to be clear, you do have to have a strategy, and you do have to surround yourself with the different resources that can help you. Resources meaning the tools or the people or the money, all those type of things. But it does not have to be that slow. It doesn't. You also, y'all, don't have to wait till January. You don't have to wait until New Year, New Me. No, your year can start right now. I say my New Year is every October. That's when my birthday is. My New Year is every October. It's not in January, it's October. It's where I start to think about things, right? But quite honestly, like, it doesn't even have to be every year of your birthday. It could be every quarter. It could be literally every day you say, today I'm going to be better than I was yesterday. And I'm going to reach out to somebody today because I'm going to get the coaching support that I need, or the therapy session that I need, or the mentor session that I need to actually be better today than I was yesterday. You also don't need permission. No one, you shouldn't have to wait for somebody to tell you if you could get training, if you could take a course, if you could have a class, if you could learn something new. Why do we wait for our bosses to tell us, yes, I'm going to allow you to learn today? No, you have full agency to make that decision. You just have to make that decision. And you don't need anybody to just come tap you on the shoulder. Okay. What I'm learning in this entrepreneurial life is that If you are slow and you're moving slow, it's because you're thinking slow. You're not thinking strategically. You're not thinking about what can I do to make it happen. Okay. I'm not a big manifestation person, but I hear people talk about manifestation. I'm a prayer person. I'm going to pray about it, and I'm going to align my actions with my prayers so that I can move things. But that's how I move things. If you manifest, that's how you move things. If you write down things on a journal and say, this is what I want, and you have your own written kind of talk to God, that's how you move things. If you create a vision board, that's how you move things, right? Again, there's an action to move it. So you don't need anybody to tap you on the shoulder, because you're going to manifest that thing. You're going to pray that thing. You're going to visualize that thing, and you're going to make it happen, because now your mind is connected to the action that you want to take. So you don't need anybody to tap you on the shoulder. We think we do. We think that's the only thing that we need for our networks. But when we create the networks, it's because we're intentionally stepping into where we want to go and what we want to happen in our careers. Okay. You can get clear about this right now. You can start right now. You can design your strategy right now. You can build the momentum that you need right now. You don't need the next 2 months to think about it. You don't need the next year to think about it. You just need the support that you need to move you in the direction that you want to go. Okay. So, because of this, and I know this, and I am like deeply invested in this, and I'm just like, how can I accelerate the growth in 10 people the way that I just did one person? The way that I just 2 coaching sessions, and this person was able to accelerate into the role. She came when I talked to her the first call, and we were just talking about what she wanted, what was her goals before she became a full client. And she was saying, I just want to learn good communication skills. I want to know how to navigate as a manager. I want to do these things. In 2 sessions, she was like, I got me a new role. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Clock that, clock that, clock that. That was her. So I'm thinking, how can I do that for everybody? How can I accelerate, not just with time, but accelerate roles? I went from an administrative assistant to a director level role. Y'all, that's about 4 or 5 things I skipped over to get to where I was at. How can I help others to do that? And then give the information that they need in order to be able to do that, right? So, next week, I am opening free coaching inside of my new membership called the Six Figure Leader. This is not a webinar, it's not a challenge, it's not even a masterclass. This is real coaching, it's real support, it's real strategy in real time with me for 5 days. Okay. 5 days, every single day next week. Okay. And the things that you'll be able to walk away with by the end of the week is your goals for 2026. They're going to be done. Your strategy for how you're going to get visible will be done. You're going to get a relationship and networking plan. We're going to go through that. Your systems and your tools for your leadership journey, a reset of your leadership and your identity and your habits. We're going to reset that, right? Because I want us to think differently about how we're approaching our goals and how we're approaching things, right? How we're approaching our habits, right? It's here in this thing right here. I know I got to be a kid. Don't talk about me. But yeah, it's here. That's where we do it, right? Our minds, our thoughts, how we think about things, right? That's going to be done. And by that, you're going to have a clear, actionable 90-day roadmap for this, okay? For your plan for the next 90 days, okay? By Friday, you're going to have everything you need to create the momentum that you need for 2026. It's going to be the start for your first quarter, but you're going to have that momentum. Once you get into momentum, it's hard to stop. Y'all know that? Once you get into momentum, it's hard to stop. You just keep going. You're like, ooh, okay, more. It's like what they call it, like it's an adrenaline rush. Like you're like, ooh, I want more, right? So here's what the 5 days will look like. There will be light teaching and then coaching. Okay, you'll be able to come as a group. It's a group format, so it's open to anybody who comes who wants coaching. But at the beginning, I'll give you some light training. on a topic, and then you'll get some coaching. Okay, so here's what the 5 days look like. So on day one, we're going to talk about your 2026 identity and what you want. We're going to talk about who you're becoming. Who do you want to become? What are the skills and resources you need? I think sometimes we think about, oh, I want to become a person who um, knows how to eat healthy, right? As an example. Actually, let me do a career example. So I want to be a manager. That is some of your goals, right? You maybe want to be a manager. But then we think that, and we're going to step into the identity of a manager. We're going to be that manager before we get that role. That is how I had to do a lot of things at first, where I was like, I'm going to be the leader before I become the leader, formal leader title. I'm just going to step into that. I'm going to be the coach before I become a certified coach. Like, I had to be that. However, it can't just be you thinking this is who I want to be. It also has to be, what skills does that require? What resources do you need in order to do that? You have to have all that. So that'll be day one. Day two, your visibility and your influence strategy. So we're going to strategically look at your transferable skills and match that to the role. So bring a role, like you have some different roles or some different things that you want to do. And I'll talk about how do you map that? How do you map that to what you want? We're also going to talk about on day three, your relationship and your networking plan. What does that look like? How do you build your network? How do you build the relationships, right? I have a do I want to call it process or an approach where I say date the C-suite. Y'all, this is a dating game. Like how you date out here, that's how you date your C-suite. Now, I'm not talking about kissing and hugging and loving, especially in the climate that we're in. Be clear, I'm not talking about that, right? Nor am I talking about kissing the ring. I'm not talking about that either. However, there are some skills with dating that can be transferred into the corporate workspace. Things like understanding what's top of mind, understanding what they like, understand where they're going as as your manager or the C-suite, understanding how what you skills you have can be transferred or can be used in those situations. That's what I'm talking about, right? So we're going to talk about day three, your relationship and networking plan. Day four, what systems and tools you need, how to work in the system, how to get the tools that you need. And then day five, you'll have your full 90-day action plan. Okay. So again, this is hands-on coaching. It's the work that most leaders don't get a chance to do because we go to communicating for women. We come back and we're like, how do I use this here? What do I do? What do I say? Communication? What? They gave me this, but I have to try to, it's just too much, right? You need the support that can actually tell you how to do it. Okay. And if you want free coaching, all you have to do is DM me. I'll send you everything you need to know to sign up. You can also sign up using this QR code. Hopefully I'm pointing to the right direction because sometimes it be the other way. So up here, the QR code is up here. You can scan that and you could join. It's free all week. It's free all week. And when you join, not only will you get access to coaching, you'll be able to preview some of the things that is in the membership. So the first module is all about identity, and you'll get 4 lessons. So there's 4 lessons that you'll be able to watch. They're bite-sized, 10 minutes long, most of them. Some a little shorter, but not longer. You'll also get access to a Notion worksheet. So you'll be able to go into that worksheet. You'll be able to make a copy for yourself and actually put into practice what you learn from the videos. And then you get the free coaching all week long, right? Okay. So if this is something that you think you want, if it's something that you're like, yes, Tashina, I want to get my goals going for 2026 right now, because I'm not waiting until January 1st. I'm not waiting because January 1st, everybody's still out on vacation. I already want to be prepared. I want to already be able to tell my boss this stuff because this is what's going to be for 2026. Okay. So if that is you, go ahead, scan the QR code or DM me and I'll send you all the information. Hopefully this was helpful for you. Tag anybody, send it to anybody you think may need this, and I will talk to y'all soon. Have a good week. Have a good Friday. Because y'all might see me tomorrow. I don't know. But have a good Friday. All right. Talk soon. Bye.